Your favorite liberal newspaper and TV news network may have inadvertently gotten Donald Trump re-elected. Despite what many news outlets might have you believe in their overwhelmingly negative coverage of Trump, their relentless focus on him, both the good and the bad, might have been the death knell for Kamala Harris's presidential bid. In this video, we'll explore how the blanket media coverage of all things Donald Trump may have tipped the scales in his victory over Kamala Harris, backed by some eye-opening statistics. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on thought-provoking content like this. Now, let's jump into it. One of the biggest challenges Kamala Harris faced during her election bid was name recognition. In stark contrast, Donald Trump was ever present, dominating headlines and broadcasts to an almost unparalleled degree. According to a study by the Media Research Center, Trump received over 87% negative media coverage during the election cycle, but that didn't stop him from being the most talked about candidate by far. In fact, a CNBC report revealed that Trump garnered over 54% of all election-related news coverage during key months of the campaign, dwarfing Harris's coverage, which hovered around 15%. Even CNN acknowledged the phenomenon, with a study showing that Trump was mentioned in 8 out of every 10 political news stories during the last quarter of the campaign. This dominance in media exposure made it nearly impossible for Harris to break through and establish her own narrative. The media's fixation on Trump wasn't just a product of his polarizing personality, it also served their financial interests. After Trump's 2016 election, news organizations saw a massive boost in subscriptions and viewership, a phenomenon often referred to as the Trump bump. For instance, the New York Times reported a surge of over 2.3 million digital subscribers between 2016 and 2020, much of it attributed to readers' desire to keep up with Trump-related stories. Similarly, CNN saw a significant increase in ratings during Trump's presidency, with some analysts noting that the network's primetime viewership rose by nearly 50% in the first year alone. Trump's unpredictable behavior and headline-grabbing antics created a constant stream of content that kept audiences glued to their screens, and media companies profiting. In this context, the media had a real interest in keeping Trump at the center of the conversation. The more they covered him, the more engagement and revenue they generated, creating an incentive structure that may have inadvertently contributed to his re-election. To combat Trump's overwhelming presence, Kamala Harris needed to innovate. She had to step out of the traditional campaign bubble and reach voters on platforms where Trump had already established himself as a dominant force: YouTube, podcasts, and alternative media. For example, during the campaign, Trump made appearances on everything from mainstream networks to niche online platforms. These appearances weren't always friendly, but they kept him in the public eye. Harris, by contrast, missed several critical opportunities. While she did appear on major networks and some popular shows, she failed to fully embrace digital-first platforms where younger and more diverse audiences spend their time. This was a critical misstep, especially when studies show that the majority of voters under 35 consume political content primarily through social media or YouTube. Ironically, the mainstream media's relentless focus on Trump may have played directly into his hands. A study from Pew Research found that even negative media coverage can increase name recognition and perceived authority, particularly when a candidate dominates the news cycle. In fact, a 2024 analysis by Nielsen revealed that Trump's airtime during the campaign equated to an estimated $5 billion in free advertising. This kind of exposure would be impossible for any opponent to match, let alone one with Harris's comparatively modest media presence. Harris was frequently overshadowed. While Trump's controversies and antics filled front pages and prime time slots, Harris's policies and proposals were often relegated to smaller stories, resulting in limited public awareness of her platform. When voters headed to the polls, Trump's media saturation made him the more familiar candidate, even for those who disapproved of him. Familiarity breeds a sense of legitimacy, and for many, the choice came down to the devil they knew versus the one they didn't. Harris's lack of consistent and widespread media exposure left her struggling to make a lasting impression. The mainstream media's obsession with Trump, combined with Harris's failure to seize alternative avenues of communication, created a dynamic that was nearly impossible for her to overcome. So, did the mainstream media help get Donald Trump re-elected? The statistics certainly suggest they played a significant role, though clearly that was only part of the broader movement that got Trump back in office. Nevertheless, by keeping Trump at the forefront of the national conversation, regardless of the tone of coverage, they ensured that no other candidate could truly compete for attention. What do you think? Did the media's obsession with Trump inadvertently help decide the election? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more great videos.